Hey, Stone Roadie Dimension, got a new Monday morning video for you, interview with a guy named Dyer Davis. Wanted to play a little clip of Dyer singing at a club, and we interviewed the guy, really cool guy. So sit back and stay tuned, and happy Monday morning.
Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy Godsey and all the old friends that come along. Lord, we'll be talking Skynyrd and leaving you with a song.
Rise and shine, everybody. It's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
The Stone Roadie Show, podcast 322. And roll 'em if you got 'em. Alrighty then, fellow Stone Roadie Dimension. Looky here, looky here. My name's Craig Reed, a.k.a. the Stone Roadie. And as always, my co-host, co-pilot, and the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. And we got with us today a young gentleman, his name, a musician, and his name is Dyer Davis. So welcome, Dyer Davis, and go ahead and take it away there, my co-host, Griff Martin.
Yeah, Dyer Davis, interesting guy here, man. And he was brought to us by Chad Reed, Craig's son. You know, a lot of times we like to bring interesting people on the podcast, may not have anything to do with Southern rock. Dyer, he kind of is all over the map with a lot of cover tunes, and he's a big original guy. And so we don't really know a whole lot about him because we just found out about him not too long ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to dissect him. I've heard a lot of his music, and something I got to ask you, Dyer, is if man, you need to do some Bad Company stuff because you've got a Paul Rogers voice.
I appreciate you saying that.
You definitely got a little. I mean, let's hear some Free or some Bad Company because I think you could pull that off really well.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, but he does a lot of stuff. I've heard him do some Tom Petty, Rod Stewart. I even heard of Tears for Fears, and then did some Wings. You're a big Beatles fan, right, Dyer?
Yeah, very much.
And I've taken some notes here. I know Dyer, he grew up in Daytona, which that's where the Allman Brothers started. So
thank you for saying that.
I didn't know if you were Allman. I'm sure you're an Allman Brothers fan.
I am. My Aunt Diana actually went to prom with Dwayne Allman.
Oh, cool.
At Seabreeze before I went to Seabreeze High School too, but when it was a junior high school, they did whatever their homecoming or prom dance was. She ended up going with him.
And then I guess you got some ties to Jacksonville too, as well, maybe, or you?
Yeah, a little bit. My management team's out of Jacksonville, and that's really where the band is centralized now. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, and Chad, Craig's son, he's really good at finding talented people. And when he sent me some of Dyer stuff, I was like, wow, this guy's got and you got an original voice too. It's like it's kind of hard to break into music if you've got like a voice that's not memorable, and you've got a really memorable type voice. And
thank you.
And so I thought, when I first heard you, I go, man, this guy sounds just like Paul Rogers. Some of the stuff, you've got that same kind of thing. So think about that, Dyer, next time you want to do some cover tunes, because I'm telling you, man, you could do good. So anyway, you started like guitar lessons at 4 years old, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started off playing drums. And then pretty much right after I started doing that, I saw somehow my dad got his hands on a DVD of the Eagles playing in Sydney, Australia in the early 2000s. And Joe Walsh came out with like this hard hat on with like a camera in it. And he's wearing like these Grateful Dead pajama pants and, comes out playing Life's Been Good.
Just a cool sumbitch.
Oh, cool as hell. And I was like, who the hell is that guy? And then I'm like, well, I have to play guitar now because that's about the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. So I started, I went to my drum teacher he taught guitar as well. And I was like, hey, man, I want to learn to play guitar. So we started doing that, and we were kind of doing both for a while. And then I just got to a point where guitar was really where I wanted to be, and I just stayed in that. I still play drums a little bit, but I kind of suck now. I used to be really good when I was a kid.
Well, you're probably better than you think you are. But speaking of Joe Walsh, I heard you do a little Rocky Mountain Way. That's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, it's funny.
You weren't using the talk box or anything. Yeah, have you got one of those?
No, I had a talk box that I got from a friend of mine. He called me up. He's like, hey, I'm buying a bunch of crap from this estate sale. They have a bunch of gear. Do you want anything? And I said, well, what is there? And he's like, I got this talk box.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I've never had a talk box. Send it over to me. So he mails me this talk box, and I hated it. I was like, I don't.
Is it hard to play one of those? Like, what's the deal?
No, it's not. Basically, you run a tube. It puts a guitar signal through the tube, but you have to utilize the mic, your vocal mic. You run the tube up next to the mic and stick the thing in your mouth. And I just don't like that kind of. It's sort of grody to me, especially that tube will get nasty, man. And then I played with it at the house, and I was like, you know what, man, this is not happening. I got to get rid of this. I use an octave pedal when I do that song now.
I can tell you're doing something that gives it sort of that lean towards that whole talk box thing, it kind of, helps you pull it off. I mean, there's a lot of people that play stuff like that with that. There's actually some pedals that sound like I heard a guy do some Peter Frampton stuff using some pedals and it sounded like the talk box. I was like, wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But, so you, would you start playing? Was it an acoustic or was it right into the electric? How'd that go?
Um, I went right into the electric, like pretty much right off the bat. My dad had a Giannini classical guitar that is sitting in a room just behind this wall that he was at a frat party when he was in college and somebody knocked it over and stepped on it and broke the neck. And so there's still a crack in the heel to this day. And I've sworn for years I was going to fix it, and you still can't play it. But I kind of noodled around on that thing. But really, yeah, when I started playing, it was all electric because it was Joe Walsh and the Beatles, man. It's like these guys aren't playing acoustics, not that I had seen at the time. So it was like, I had a VHS tape of the Beatles live at the BBC, and Harrison's playing this big Rickenbacker and all that kind of thing, and same thing. Obviously, Walsh is playing whatever he's playing, so I had to be like those guys. The acoustic was never going to be cool enough for me.
Yeah, and Joe Walsh he's kind of tied into the Beatles. I think he's married to Barbara Bach's sister or something.
Yeah, Marjorie Bach is his wife now. Yeah.
Yeah. Craig's been over to a couple of the Beatles house. Well, no, it was Ringo's house. He went to Ringo. He's kind of like Forrest Gump, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was invited, or he stopped by Ringo's house, and he don't remember a whole lot about it. But how cool is that?
That's how he was there.
That's the life of a drug addict. You don't remember a lot of shit.
Yeah, he could have made up some story, but no, Craig don't do that kind of stuff. He's a pretty honest guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then of course he's done some things, with the Beatles too. But so you started off then as a big Beatles fan then, huh?
Oh, that was like pinnacle to me. It was the Beatles and
and Wings. You're a Wings guy too. I mean,
I got into the Wings a little bit later. I can't remember how that kind of came. I mean, somehow I heard like Jet or something on the radio at some point. And I was like, oh, Wings are cool too. But Beatles, the Beach Boys, Wings came a little bit later. And around the same time that the Wings came in, I saw Smokey and the Bandit for the first time, and then became like a huge Jerry Reed fan too. So especially on this record, that's kind of a conglomerate of a little bit of the Jerry Reed stuff and the Beatles stuff and all that kind of thing, kind of put into one obelisk of music,
And that Jerry Reed, man, what a guitar player. Good gracious, man. Unbelievable. Him and Glenn Campbell, they were like both, and they were big buddies.
Yeah.
So when you were, I think you took guitar lessons all the way up to you were like 14, and then the guitar teacher said, "Look, man, I can't do anything for you anymore. You're as far as you can go." But you guys still hung around, and you're like really good friends to this day.
Yeah, I just texted him the other day, man. He's one of my best friends, and I mean, he's been in my life since my whole life, So, and I've been a part of his for 22 years now. So, he watched me grow up, and him and I definitely keep in touch. I go over there and hang out every once in a while. I think probably about the time I was like 12 or 13, he sort of got to a point where he's like, well, I can't play what you're doing anymore. And, but I kept going for lessons because I liked hanging out with him.
Yeah,
so
because
together and we jam on stuff all the time. I don't know if my parents knew that I wasn't doing anything productive, but
and I think you said you had like a garage band, but you feel like you guys sucked or something,
Oh, we totally sucked. No, I mean, you have to be in a shitty band at some point. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's part of the growing process. Yeah, there was a garage band that was thrown together when I was in middle school, probably with some friends, and we wanted it to be super cool, and it just fucking sucked, dude. It was horrible.
Well, I mean, when you're that age, it's okay to suck. Even Skynyrd sucked at the beginning. From what I heard, Gene Odom says he used to hear him and he'd be like, "Man, you guys suck," you know. But then it wasn't long after that they didn't suck, you know.
There's a guy, I can't remember it's John something or other. I can't remember what his last name is off the top of my head. But he said, he's a British philosopher, and he said, in order for us to become what we are, we have to come out of what we are not. So,
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, maybe now you got a guitar for Christmas and it had like a lot of high action and it was like the frets would make your fingers bleed. So maybe that had something to do with it, huh?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you that'll make you a great player in no time.
Oh yeah, you get one of these crappy guitars and
Oh, is it a harmony or something?
No, it was a first act, and it had a built-in amplifier, and it was terrible. That's another. I have it in storage still. I refuse to get rid of it. But it's horrible. I picked it up the last I had to go into that unit recently to. I have different cabinets that I use in the studio than I do live. So when we were going in for some sessions, I went into storage to grab a couple of cabinets, and I found that guitar, and I'm like, look at this thing. I haven't seen it in a minute. And I picked it up, and God, it's horrible, dude. It's horrible to this day. And I'm like, I don't even know how I played it. It was
But you don't want to get rid of it. You want to be able to look at it and go, wow, I mean, it's
that's
like,
the extent of it. I just want to look at
yeah.
it. I don't ever want to play that again. But yeah, that was my first one. And then at some point, my uncle Fred, I had that guitar for probably like a year or two, and my uncle Fred went to a music store, and he was living in Nashville at the time, and he went to a music store to buy a banjo, and because like he spent over $200 at this music store, they threw in this free Carlo Robelli Ernie Ball Music Man knockoff, and that was my first. He ended up bringing it down to Florida to give it to me. So that was my first like real, grown-up guitar, I guess you could say.
You felt like you were in high cotton with that guitar there, then probably compared to.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, who would have thought that it could get this good? And even that guitar sucked. I mean, I still have that one too, and it's terrible. But it was so much better than the first one that, who cares?
Yeah, anytime you're stepping up, it's always a good step in the right direction anyway.
Oh, the sense of pride as a kid was crazy. I'm like, this is my guitar, this is mine now. It was crazy.
And then I think you did your first concert when you were like 14 or something. Isn't that right?
my first professional show was when I was 14. Yep.
And then at the time, I think you and your parents were kind of like, you weren't a big fan of school. You didn't do very well in school. I think you were a alcoholic, like really young or something, right? Didn't you start drinking? How old were you? Wasn't it like 13 or something?
The first time I ever properly got drunk, I was some sort of family function. I was sneaking alcohol. And nobody knew, and I was like 13 years old, and I got the itch, and from then on, pretty much, and it got pretty bad, specifically once I started touring and stuff in high school. It got particularly bad through that and after that, because there's sort of this stigma that especially being a stupid kid. It's like, oh, all the guys that I looked up to were doing this, so this is what you do. This is your rite of passage. It was a combination of that and just, I don't know. It's a hell of a feeling,
But you had a great home life, so it wasn't like anything your parents did. Matter of fact, your dad was a lawyer, isn't that right? Your dad was a lawyer?
Yeah, had a small firm that he ran. It was him and two secretaries. He did that for like 40 years.
Yeah, and then he didn't, and you were wanting to go in the music direction, and he wasn't really pushing you for education. As a matter of fact, didn't he say, "Man, you're not college material"? Didn't he say
Yeah,
that to you?
yeah, I did it. How do you know about that? I did.
I just did a little research on you, you know.
I don't. Wow, that's yeah. I turn. He's. I can't remember how exactly this went down now, but yeah, I asked him. He's like, well, I'm not gonna, you know, encourage you to go to college. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What if I wanted to go to college? And he laughed in my face.
Because he knew.
Yeah, he's like, you're not going to do that. He's like, you're going to go down there. I already know what's going to happen, you know.
And I told Craig, I said, Craig, man, you're going to like this guy, man. He started off, and he was somewhat had some drug abuse issues, and I think he even did quite a few rehabs. Like Craig, Craig's a big rehab guy.
Yeah,
Craig
man.
Craig said those rehabs, they do not work, man. You gotta want to stop on your own.
You do, and that is absolutely true, man. Glad to have met another rehab veteran today, but but no, I did. I never did any serious like 12-step, where you're in the building for X amount of months or whatever. But I did outpatient quite a few times between probably ages 14 and 19, maybe even 20. And then I stopped because after that, it was like, you've been going for that long and you either get clean for a week and then you just relapse. And that gets to a point where it just kind of gets dangerous because, you go there and you don't really want to get clean. Other people want you to. You're kind of doing it for them. And then you get in there, you start to get cleaned up so that way you can get the hell back out of there again. And so you start to kind of get yourself cleaned up, but then you know that you're going to go back and do it again, but you haven't touched it in like a month. And then you go back and think that you can drink the same way that you did, and I feel like that's a really common theme that has gotten a lot of people killed over the years, and even still, I'm sure, more specifically with heroin and shit like that. But
yours was more of a meth and alcohol thing, wasn't it?
yeah, the meth didn't last very long. The meth only went on for a few months. And I had a guitar player that I was working with, that he had been prescribed Adderall. And one day we were hanging out. He had a seizure, and long story short, and we were in my truck. I was driving him home. Long story as to why that even happened. And he started having a seizure in the passenger seat of my truck. And I had to pull over on the side of the highway and just kind of like, what am I going to do? Stood there for like 10 minutes, basically watching this guy seize on the side of I-95. And then finally, when he was done, he got up and brushed all the grass off of him and got back in the truck. And he's like, hey, man, I'm done taking this shit. He's like, do you want it? And it's like a full bottle of Adderall. I'm like,
So instead of like going, man, I don't want to do that because look what happened to him, you said, yeah, I'll take it.
yeah, well, he was taking it for a pre-existing medical condition. I think he had like genetic Parkinson's or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he was young at the time, he was he was probably 26 at the time, 27 years old, something like that. And he was from Southern California. And I guess that his doctor out there had prescribed him for that, which was counterintuitive to me. Why would they give you an amphetamine when your problem is, autonomous movement?
Yeah, a lot of that seizure stuff, it can only be controlled by, those types of drugs, like phenobarbital and stuff like that. I think that's the only way to control it. But
yeah, he gave me that bottle, and then I blew through the bottle and then realized what the street price of Adderall was. And I went down partying one night to wherever I was partying, and went to a friend of mine and was like, hey, man, do you have any blow? And he's like, no, blow's for pussies. He's like, well, I got this. And he threw me up a line, and I was like, all right. And I snorted it, and it was like getting hit by a train. It was like, whoa, this is great. And then that was kind of, it was accessible. And for me, it was cheap because I was getting it for free most of the time. So
Not too many people can, have a good news story after they've, started using that. A lot of people, they can't get off of it. So how did you end up kicking it?
Um, well, I did it for, like I said, not as long as it feels like I did, probably because I was awake the whole time. But I was only doing it for probably 3 or 4 months, and there's one night I went out partying and did definitely more than I should have. I had been awake for probably like 3 days, and I started to get to feel a little bit strange. And I was in New Smyrna. I was coming over the South Causeway, and in between the two bridges is a cross street called Live Oak. And I was stopped at the light at Live Oak, and there's no other cars in the intersection. And I got a shooting pain in my left arm. Chest started to feel tight, and I couldn't swallow. Like my tongue felt like it was in the way. And I was like, this is not good. I've never experienced anything like this. And the only thing that I can liken this to is what I've heard people say heart attacks are like. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I started praying. And I was like, God, I've OD'd a few times now on different things. And, I've been sort of not the best dude. And if you want to kill me, that's fine. But I want to get home and see my family first. I'm like, I won't drink anymore. I had like a handle of, or not a handle, but like an ass pocket of Captain Morgan under my seat. And I threw the Captain Morgan out the window, and I had a pack of cigarettes. I threw the cigarettes out the window. I'm like, whatever you want, just let me get home to my family first. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. And as soon as I said that, I opened my eyes, all of my ailments immediately went away, and the light turned green. And dude, I wept like a baby the whole way home, and I never put anything up my nose again after that. That was it.
See, in that situation, Craig would have just taken a Quaalude. And that would
Oh, well, a little bit of skin formation when after the time up here in Kent when I met the band, and I said goodbye to them in Cleveland. Well, the next day when I came out here to my parents' house where I am now, of course they died. My dad died 30 years ago. But anyways, yeah, Ed King called me, wanted to know if I could get him some crystal meth. So that's when they come out here. That's what they got. They got some crystal meth because they couldn't afford cocaine, so they got some crystal meth.
It's expensive, man, and it's convenient when you live where they make it in copious amounts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah, and you weren't even around when the Quaaludes. I mean, that was a whole. Those Quaaludes, they were something else, weren't they, Craig?
yeah. I showed a bottle. I got a bottle around here somewhere that was full of Quaaludes. I showed the bottle.
Still got the bottle.
I still got the bottle. I had 1,000 Quaaludes in it, or 500. I think probably 500. Yeah, Quaaludes, bottle of Quaaludes. Somebody else had a bottle. Somebody else had the same bottle. Somebody else, and I got one of those bottles.
So any of you kids listening to this podcast, listen to Dyer, man, because it's just not a cool thing to do. You don't want to learn the hard way. Good thing that you said that prayer, because it might have been a bad thing for you, man, if you'd have kept that up.
It's a slippery slope, man. I think I was actually just having a conversation with somebody about that particular thing. Not that testimony, but just about meth in general recently. I think when we were on the road, we started having a conversation about drugs and crap like that, because we had all done like psychedelics and all kinds of weird shit. And I had brought that up, and I said, the one thing that I particularly remember about it that is really scary is the only thing that I could think about after like 2 hours of being high on it was getting more of it. And it's like, that's the scary thing.
Because it is addictive. Very addictive.
Yeah. It's definitely Like it is a cranial takeover, man. I mean, you're in that, and then you get 2 hours in, and you're like, man, this is going to be over eventually. I got to get myself some more of this, And then you start looking, and then of course, then you start feeling the withdrawals, because the withdrawals are just horrible. And then once the withdrawals hit, then it's like now you're desperate for it just to get that to be over. But
Yeah, you have to be a professional, like Craig. Craig's a professional, and
Well, the second, first, I guess it was the first RCB album. Yeah, both of them actually, I guess. Yeah, that they were crystal meth fueled, because that's near Mexico, and Alan, and we knew the mayor's son, of mayor of Mexico. I forget his name now, but him and Alan got busted.
oh
Coming
god,
across it. Yeah, and that was pretty funny. Alan got busted.
yeah, I
with
tell
the
you
mayor,
what,
with the mayor of Juarez, Mexico's
oh my
son.
god.
Yeah, but yeah, that was all crystal meth fueled. We called that shit the nail, man. You'd snort it, and it was like shoving a hot nail up your freaking nose.
Oh yeah,
Gary
that's
would go, and trying to punch you and shit, man.
it's shattered
Yeah,
glass,
oh,
man.
yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, that fueled the Rust and Collins band album.
Good Lord.
The nail.
That's some hard in the paint stuff right there, man.
yeah, I mean, Craig tells a story. They were at a party at Alan's house, and he had a big old thing of cocaine, and it got knocked on the floor. And Craig said there were people on the floor with a straw.
Al was cooking up freebase, and he was dropping it on the floor, and then all these guys were, and they're down there trying to scrape it up when Alan's cooking up bass, and Alan just shuffled it with his shoe and said, "Man, that's floor scrapings. Don't worry about that. I got a whole bag full here."
Dear God, man.
I'm sure after we left, they was down there trying to scrape it off the floor a couple days later. There was a bunch of it.
You ever heard that song by Eric Clapton, "Lay Down, Sally"?
Yeah.
And we had her on, Sally Arnold. We had her on the podcast, and she was at one of those Alan Collins parties, and
Yeah.
Alan, when he'd get stoned, he'd break out a rifle, and that's how he would clear the room of anybody that, he didn't want around. And he shot that rifle, and it missed Craig by about a foot. And that's when Sally, because she was the manager for Rawson and Collins at the time, and she said, that's when I was done right there. When that bullet, and Craig goes, "Oh, it didn't almost hit me. It was only a foot away."
Yeah.
So what age were you then whenever you got rid of the monkey off your back then?
I was 17.
Okay, so and then no relapses or anything.
Nope.
You pretty much
No.
put it away. Good.
Never
Good for
putting
you, man.
anything up my nose again after that. That was a very clear. Alcohol, not the same story. Alcohol was definitely had proven to be the hardest one to kick for sure.
That was the roughest one for me too. Yeah. Alcohol.
Yeah, I thought that quitting smoking was going to be the worst, and quitting smoking wasn't.
That was easy for me.
Was it?
Yeah, I wasn't even never addicted to it. It always tasted like shit to me. I smoked when I drank, but I drank all the time.
Yeah.
But the band wanted me to quit drinking, so I thought, I'll just quit smoking, and then they'll think I quit drinking because I'm not smoking. But
Yeah. I thought
you do anything you can not to quit drinking. So they say,
Yeah.
"Have you been drinking?" I goes, "If I was drinking, I'd be smoking, wouldn't I?" It worked for a while, maybe.
And that followed Craig for quite some time because Craig had hepatitis and he had to take some, was it Harvoni? Is that the name?
Harvoni, yeah, I'd take it for 3
it's,
months, and I drank the whole time.
Yeah, and then that's how he got fired from Skynyrd, because he was on the tour bus and he didn't remember it, but he started peeing on everybody. on the
Oh, I
bus.
was asleep and I had to pee, and I got up and I couldn't hold it, so I just peed over.
And they say,
all the
"You're
way up the
fired."
hallway, all the way in the bathroom.
I'm sure that people would probably think that kind of
Well,
shit doesn't happen.
well,
but
I was supposed to have gone through rehab, and I was supposed to have straightened up but by that time it was obvious I
well,
had,
that'll give it a yeah, man.
yeah, that
I did all
I
kinds of
obviously didn't help me.
I did all kinds. I used to piss on stuff a lot. That was for a while. That was one of the things that would I open up my underwear drawer, piss in the drawer because I would think, in
Yeah.
my head I'd think that I was in the bathroom somehow.
Right.
I had a buddy of mine that was staying the night at my house, sleeping on the floor, pissed on him in the middle of the night one time. Like,
Well,
Well,
to
you're
me, it
good,
was like, I know the rock stars are doing it, and I said, they should understand. They're going through the same thing.
yeah,
Now, Gary had hep the same time I did, and ended up with his teeth missing or something, and said he it was due to that was the interferon. Those was the shots. Those were rough on you.
yeah.
But yeah, he said that's what happened. He was taking that medication. I said, well, it doesn't do that to me. It's the alcohol that does. It makes you fall down.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
pills. It was probably eating pills, I imagine.
Booze is difficult to hop off of because it's so readily available. Like,
Oh
all the
yeah.
time. And I mean, especially everywhere that we would be,
Yeah.
you're going to be in bars, you're going to be in clubs. If you're not going to be playing there, you're going to be hanging out there because everybody else is.
And if you're social, you got to have something in your hand, and if it's not a cigarette, it's a drink.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's a
I
social.
always wondered how Ted Nugent was able to escape the drugs. I mean, he's like the guy's a teetotaler, no drugs, and I mean, who knows? But that's a hard line of business to be in and not have drugs put in your face. So
It is, man. Even to this day, and I don't mind if people drink around me or anything like that. Or smoke for that matter. You do whatever you want. It's not my business, and it doesn't bother me. But even to this day, man, I'll be playing shows, and that happened to me in Atlanta, where I'm in this club in Atlanta this past weekend. It was the last date of this last tour that I was on, and I got people. What do you want to drink? What do you drink? We have to get you something. And they're all tossed. And I'm like, I'm not, I don't. Well, don't you let me get you water. I'm like, why? I don't want water. I'm fine right now. I just need to get paid and get the hell out of here is what I need to do.
yeah.
But
Well, it's at 17, when you stopped, and then to be able to, well, you're only what 9 years older now, so
yeah.
that's good, man. I'm glad and Craig, didn't Skynyrd go sober there? And I think it was Leon Wilkeson said maybe it was just they quit drinking the brown liquor. That's what it.
Yeah,
That's
there
what
was a rumor. There was rumors going around to that effect. Yeah,
That
they were
Florida
just
sober
rumors, though. They were just rumors.
But anyway, switching gears, getting back to the music. Now you're a big blues player too. So
Yeah.
when did you get hooked into the blues? Was that at
It
an
was
early
all,
age?
I mean, it was all kind of hand in hand. Like here, so as far as being into Faces and Cream and all that kind of thing growing up, I'd be exposed to Freddie King songs and Albert King songs and all that, just in Buddy Guy and stuff like that. Cause, especially with the Jeff Beck group and things like that I got into it when they were doing it. And then it turned me back to the actual American original, perpetrators of that stuff. And it was like, oh, wow, this is really great. But the other thing too, is like, I cut my teeth too, and learned how to play, with guys in different situations. I would play at blues jams all the time, in town with guys that I grew up with that were old heads that had spent their time growing up playing with the Allman Brothers when they were still called the Hourglass when they lived here in Daytona. So, or back in Daytona. So, when you had, I would go up and play with them, and I first of all would learn new songs almost every time that we'd be there, but I'd be playing for 4 hours too. And in that 4 hours of being up there, being part of the backing band, helping these people look good, you get these guys that had come up. My God, dude, if I had to play Pride and Joy or Cold Shot one more time,
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
would just absolutely want to jump off a bridge, dude. It was constant, man. Like, let's do Pride and Joy. And it's like, oh my God. And it got to a point where it's taken me, I still haven't given Stevie Ray Vaughan the proper due. That, like, I haven't really given him the deep listen, because having to do that so much in varying degrees of good growing up, um, really kind of turned me off on shuffles. And in fact, when we made Dog Bites Back, which was the blues album, I specifically told them, I'm like, no shuffles. I'm like, no shuffles. I'm not interested in any of the. I don't. And there's still a shuffle on there called Trainwreck. But yeah, man, I that's really kind of how I got turned on to everything. Was I started playing at those jams, and then somebody would call a song, and I'd be like, well, I don't really know that song. And they'd be like, well, okay, well, follow us on it. And then I'd follow them on it. And then at the end of it, after I screwed half of it up, they'd come to me and be like, listen to the song. Then when we play it next week, it'll be better. And then I'd go listen to it, and that kind of got me down the deep dive. And especially, you don't realize the energy on a lot of those old blues records too. So a lot of those guys are sitting in a room and they're playing with their band, and that's what it is. So you're really capturing the energy of those guys playing. I think my favorite blues album of all time is Hard Again by Muddy Waters, which was produced by Johnny Winter, and, like, I can't remember what years, like 77 or something like that.
Didn't you do something with Johnny Winter?
No, I met Johnny Winter once.
Met him?
I met him like 3 weeks before he died. He was in bad form, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Wow.
was in bad form. I thought that he was much, like 25 years, 30 years older than what he was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was 69 when I met him, I think, and I thought that he was in his 90s, man. I mean, he was like, couldn't see anything, super frail, like, just really didn't look good. And yeah, it was kind of sad, to be honest with you.
Didn't you do like a tribute to Jeff Beck or some kind of tribute thing to Jeff Beck? It seemed like I saw something.
Yeah, the first song on Dog Bites Back is, I did a version of Jeff Beck's version of Let Me Love You, which was the second song on the Truth album. And that has been, because once I signed with Wild Roots, and we're making a blues album, I'm like, the first thing we have to do is this song. Because I'm like, my dad showed me that song when I was like 7 years old, and he's like, he introduced it to me as this. The guitar parts on this song are sex on the guitar. And I'm like, okay. And then I listened to it, and it was like mind blowing. So of course that had to be thrown on there.
Wasn't your first label out of New York somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was that label?
That was 825 Records. They were based in Brooklyn, New York. I don't know that they're still around as a label anymore. Every once in a while I go looking them up. I think they definitely still function as a studio. But I signed with them in 2013, I believe. And then I was with them for a couple years, probably a year and a half, and started working with a
Philadelphia is the next. What it
yeah.
Philadelphia? Yeah.
Yeah. So how that really came about was, I wanted to bring the Philadelphia company was they work primarily in music licensing and promotion, like sync licensing and things like that. So they were connected with NASCAR and ESPN and Fox Sports and crap like that. So we were trying to bring him on Pat O'Connor was his name. We were trying to get him and that company involved with the record deal because what 825 Records was doing with regards to promotion and actually doing things that would get a return was not very good. So we were like, well, this will alleviate that problem. And it pissed the label off really bad. And there was a pretty major falling out that happened at the time. And uh, put a contract in place to abolish the previous agreement, and I went full time in Philly. And pretty much as soon as I started working with them, I took the record that I made with 825 and then went with the Philly company to start touring on it and all that. And as soon as I went with them, I was on tour within a matter of a month of signing the papers.
Hey,
Uh,
you were like trying to, I don't know if it was them trying to figure out for you or you trying to figure out for yourself whether or not you were going to do some solo stuff, or were you going to stay solo, or were you going to have a band and you kind of decided that you didn't like the solo scene, so you wanted a band, and that
yeah, that was
basically
late. That was later. Yeah, that was after.
later?
Yeah, uh, that was a couple years after the Philly thing had sort of run its course. And then I'm like, well, I've been doing the solo thing for the past however many years. I think I'm going to try the band thing. And had an opportunity to work with really well-known producer named Tony Battaglia, and we're going to put together this rock band with the goal of getting it signed, and that was going to be the MO. And that was a whole other hell. I could write a book just on that band alone, you know. That was
And then you were like, you weren't right really into country. You were more like the old British artist, but you did something with a banjo. You did played around with the banjo a little bit, didn't you?
on this record.
Uh, I got a note here that I wrote down that said you kind of messed around with banjo a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I played banjo on this last record. I think I had a banjo growing up. I played around on it a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
what's your feeling for, is a banjo like something really hard to play, or what?
I don't know that I've put enough real time into playing banjo to even say yay or nay on that.
Yeah.
Um, the approach is certainly different. I wish, in retrospect, that growing up I would have put more time into a banjo, because all the cats that I know that were playing banjo that are playing guitar full time now are just monstrous players, just absolutely monstrous.
I've heard that the steel guitar, that's like something that's really hard to play, is a steel guitar. And but you play good slide. I mean, you play great slide. When did you learn to play slide? Was you pretty young?
I don't really remember when that came in. That was one of those things that I sort of started doing out of necessity. I actually don't totally enjoy playing slide. Um, I'm halfway decent at it, and I love the sound and I love the context, and with open tunings and stuff. But I don't. I have to focus a lot when I'm playing slide to make sure that I'm landing on the right notes and stuff like that. And so, with regards to that, I'm not a huge fan of playing it. Um, but I was probably like 13 years old when I started doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess everybody, like, they'll take like a medicine bottle and they'll sit there and
yeah,
play around with it. You know how it is when you're trying to figure out how to do it. It's very difficult,
it
to
is.
and Ed King was such a great slide player.
Mhm.
And I think it was Mike Estes. He was a guy that played with Lynyrd Skynyrd at one time, and he said watching Ed King play slide, it's just amazing. It's not so much what you're doing with the slide as it is what you're doing with your right hand, your plucking fingers.
Yeah.
Is like more. There's more to that than the actual slide part, right?
There definitely is. There's also a guy, I don't know if you know of this dude, but if you don't, you need to look him up. Dylan Adams. I think he's a Jacksonville guitar player.
Yeah.
Dear God, man.
Oh,
He
really?
is so good. It's ridiculous. I would probably personally put him in the upper echelon of guitar players that are even out there today in general. He wears a slide on his pinky, and he's developed a style of alternating between fretted notes and using the slide where it's necessary in the middle of riffs and stuff. And his inflection is so cool. I mean, I was just showing somebody him the other day, and I was just like, my God, man, this guy's on another planet.
Like fingering chords and using the slide. Yeah, that's pretty hard.
Yeah, a little bit of that. You just have to look him up, man, because some of the stuff, I wish that I had a particular video that he's posted on Instagram or something that I could turn you on to. But
It
they're
was
all
Dylan what was his
Dylan
name?
Adams.
Dylan Adams. Yeah, I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, man, he's a just an absolute monster player, man. And just I feel like it's hard at this point um to really push the instrument forward because it's been played so many different ways that at what point are you just kind of recycling stuff? Um and he has managed to do something different and cool with it, you know. So I appreciate that kind of thing.
If you check out old Buddy Crump, he's a heck of a slide player. Buddy Crump, you know.
You know, I'm not super hip to Buddy Crump, although I'm very familiar with the name.
Yeah, you guys would get along great. You know, you guys are cut from the same cloth.
Cool.
But yeah, he's definitely an up and coming guy, just like you. Um, one story I got to remind you of. Tell us the story about the guitar player who stole your chick.
Yeah, dude.
That's a cool story.
That's the most emasculating thing that could possibly happen to you. As a guitar player front man, you get your chick stolen by a guitar player. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Um,
And I think the chick didn't even know you guys were fighting over her or
I
something.
know, dude.
Yeah, tell that story. We got to hear it.
She had
man.
no idea. I was playing, it was a multi-band bill, and we were playing at the University of Central Missouri. I don't remember when this was. It was probably like 2016 or something. And there were three bands on the bill. It was me, a band called Rivers Monroe, which was like a pop punk band, and then there was a band called the Howling Tongues. The Howling Tongues I looked up to them so much. I loved being on the road with them. They were, you know, as rock and roll as they could possibly be to me. And so I was flirting with this girl before the show started, and you know, everything was going really well, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to play the show and it's going to be killer. And then the Howling Tongues go up there, and I'm watching their set, and you know, this girl still has the eyes for me. Well, before the show started, I made the comment to the guitar player in the other band in Rivers Monroe. I was like, yeah, man, I think I'm going to hop up on top of these subs during one of my guitar solos, and I'm going to play up on these towers. I think that would be pretty cool. And he was like, interesting. So
To kind of impress the chick, huh?
of course,
Yeah.
that's what it was all about. So I got up there, we played the set. I ended up not having time to do that. And it was like, well, you know what, whatever. Well, then the last band, Rivers Monroe, gets up there, and they go up and they get on top of the subs. And it was my idea to do it. And I was like,
They stole it.
super pissed. And then the guy was also like flirting with the girl that I was trying to flirt with in between the bands too. So they got up on the subs, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I go find Taylor, who's the singer for the Howling Tongues. And I was like, Taylor, I'm like, yo, get a load of these guys, man. And he's like, what's going on? I said, they're up on top of the subs. I said I was going to get up on top of the subs. I'm like, this guy's trying to steal my chick. And and Taylor's like, what? And I said, yeah. And he's like, oh, hell no. He turns to the drummer. He's like, Tyler, give me a drumstick. So he grabs him a drumstick. And where the sub was like you walked up, the sub is right here, and then you would walk up the stairs to get on the stage. And so the stairs are like right behind the sub, and Guitar guy is standing up there on top of the sub, and Taylor goes up there with the drumstick, goes up like 3 steps and just shoves this drumstick up his ass. And almost falls off the front of the sub.
Which was about 10 feet or so, huh?
It was a couple of like 2,500 watt subs that were stacked on top of each other. It was I felt like I really had some support on that for sure.
but you know, the guy was a guitar player though.
He was a guitar player, man. And it was like, I can't believe. And he says that nothing ended up happening. I don't know that I believe that.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't, you know, you put in the effort, and that's enough for me, man.
Yeah, you know, you don't see too me guitar. What kind of music? What were they playing?
For that.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of music were they playing? Were they?
They were like a pop punk band, so like Fall Out Boy kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and that kind of thing. You could ask me, where does the guitar fit into that, and I would say I have no idea. But he was up there with the guitar. I don't even know that the guitar was making noise out front, but he had one.
I'm trying to think who a famous guitar player is.
The dude from Flock of Seagulls played a guitar.
That's right. Oh my God! What that goes way back. Yeah,
there was him, and a couple other guys. Guitars had like a little bit of a thing going in the funk scene in the '80s. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm sure that maybe somebody in one of Larry Graham's bands might have been playing a guitar at some time or something, but who knows?
So, Dyer, what is it that basically that, like, if I went to go see one of your shows, what would I be listening to as far as a music set?
Typically, it's a lot of my stuff. We do some pretty cool for the longer nights that we're playing covers and stuff like that. It's very, very versatile, and how I run the set is kind of dependent on the room and how we're feeling. But there will be some Wing stuff in there. There's some Joe Walsh that's in there. There's some Blackberry Smoke in there. There's which, by the way, I love Blackberry Smoke. I think
a lot. They're great. Yeah.
Dear God, man, they're one of the greatest Southern rock bands of all time. And
you got a lot of originals.
Yeah, so typically if we have a 3-hour night, for example, I'll do 2-hour 15-minute sets. The first hour 15 is all covers and stuff to get the crowd moving and grooving and ready to go. And then the second set is typically all my stuff, and then at the very end we do the backside of Abbey Road to wrap the show up at the end of the night. So,
and you do something with another set of players that just basically strictly Beatles stuff, and then you say you're getting ready to do something with some friends that's Beatles.
Yeah. Actually, all of my gear is at the club as we speak for that show tomorrow. Yeah, there's a band in Daytona called Our Friends Electric, and I do they put on this Beatles tribute show, and they got in touch with me and Will a while back to be a part of it, and I was like, yeah, I'm all about it. I get to show up and play Beatles tunes and get paid for it. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that.
So you're kind of like, well, then one of the reasons we got to do this interview with you is because you're off the road just a couple days ago, and then I guess that's just a little gig that you're picking up while you're home, huh? It's kind of
I got 3 of these this month, And then next month I'm off, like, because we've been out since June 13th. We left on June 13th and really weren't back until August 10th. So I've got these 3 shows this month, and to wrap that up, and then September I'm really off, and then October we're picking back up. We'll probably have some milk runs. We're actually working on booking out some runs through the South and maybe some runs through Florida as well through the rest of the year as we
What
speak.
what kind of venues are they? Are they are they bars, or what are they like? What type venues are they?
Well, typically, if we're on the road doing the long runs, it's a little bit of everything. We play in dive bars. We played on somebody's porch this last time around. Uh, we played on 2 porches actually. We did amphitheater gigs and big shows for a few thousand people in Chicago and in South Dakota. We played in a prison.
Oh, cool.
Like we'll do all kinds of. The prison isn't a regular thing that we do, but it was something that we were blessed enough to get to do this last time. Um, yeah, we hit up a lot of different places really. Typically, yeah, you're looking at clubs primarily. But
So you're for hire. Like if somebody wanted to hire you for a party or something, they could do that.
if they wanted to, they could.
Yeah.
Parties are a little bit difficult. I've actually never really said this. I'm not ever against doing parties. They can get a little bit difficult because you never know how the party's going to turn. And
Yeah.
when you get that intimate with people, like we've played parties before where all of a sudden, like you're there and you've played for 4 hours, which was your allotted time, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go, and you're beat and you're tired. And then all of a sudden they start trying to throw more money at you to do like another hour or
Yeah. That's
2 hours. And it's like, and then now they're drunk and they'll get pissy with you when you try
oh,
to not do that. And so parties kind of turn into a little bit of a gray area because you're at the mercy of whoever's running the party and you don't know how
yeah.
it's going to be.
It's not like when I used to do wedding photography, the father was always, I'd say, hey man, your time's up, you've got 5 hours and
Yeah.
I get paid by the hour. So if it goes into the sixth hour and then he'd be like, oh, okay, give me 2 more hours,
Yeah.
and
Do
then
you
like you
have
said,
roadies?
No.
No
you
roadies. Yeah,
load all your stuff.
that
Yeah.
makes it rough when you're playing a party and you're tearing down
Oh
your own
yeah,
gear.
yeah. And I don't
If
like
you're a roadie, you can deal with it, but the musicians are it's a little rough.
it's hard, man. And then, everybody's they're wanting to sing, well, when can't you play me this? Well, no, and that's why I always tell everybody too, like if we're going to do a party, or nobody's ever hired us for a wedding, but it's been asked about it on a few different occasions. It's like, all right, yeah, we'll do the wedding, but you have to understand that you are hiring me for what I do to be at your wedding. So I'm not showing up and playing 24 karat magic and
Or
shit like
electric
that.
slide.
Yeah, the electric, exactly. I'm not doing that. I'm going to show up and I'm going to give you the Dyer Davis show, and
Yeah.
we'll do a proper production on it. It'll be like an hour and a half of just frickin' banging it out. But
Do you carry your own PA?
yeah, we carry a small PA. When we're gone, there's really not a lot of venues that we have to provide for.
Yeah.
Vast majority, they've already got everything set up, thank God. Because it takes a lot of stress off of us that,
Oh
we
yeah,
can
yeah,
run.
yeah.
So,
How are you traveling around? Do you have a bus?
yeah, yeah. I'm a bus
Yeah.
sitting in the driveway. Yeah, we travel in a Collins short bus.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I rebuilt the interior before this last tour, and it's 5-seater. Got curtains and a wall, and it's insulated well, and I got carpet everywhere and mood lighting, and it's pretty cool.
Are you pulling a trailer or somebody following you with a
Nope,
truck or?
nope. Everything fits in the back.
Cool. That's great.
I very much love driving trailers. I've done it for most of my driving life. I've driven trailers, and I love it. But I do not like the idea of going on the road with one. I don't know of a single band or artist that has ever gone on the road with a trailer on tour and hasn't gotten it either broken into or stolen.
Yeah, that happened to you guys, Craig, right?
Before I
No.
got with them, their stuff got stolen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how.
That was when Al Cooper had to loan them $5,000. Yeah, that was before me.
Yeah.
Just a
It
little bit.
happens, man. I had it happen to Victor Wainwright. He got his whole trailer stolen. He lost like a $25,000 PA. And
That's terrible.
once that happened, he just stopped booking. This is years ago now, but he just stopped booking shows where he had to provide PA because he's like, I'm not going to buy a new one. That's ridiculous. So, I was even talking to Brian Bassett recently because he's the one that mastered my last two records. I was over at his house, and I can't remember if he was on tour with Wild Cherry or Foghat at the time. I think it was Foghat. Anyway, they had their bus pulling like a double axle trailer, and they had backed the trailer up against a wall so you couldn't get into the back of it. And somebody showed up in the middle of the night and cut a hole in the top of the trailer.
Damn.
Started fishing shit out. He ended up losing like a 52 Telecaster because of it. Like,
Oh man.
yeah,
Never got it back.
nope, no.
That's terrible.
In fact, I think that guitar that would have been on a Foghat gig because I think that he told me that guitar was the one that he recorded Play That Funky Music on.
Don't you know? Seem like somewhere I heard you know the Foghat bass player.
Yeah, Rodney O'Quinn.
He lives in Melbourne, Florida, doesn't he, or somewhere near there?
Yeah, he's south of me for sure, but definitely on the coast. I haven't spoken to him in a really long time.
Because there's a place that a guy, he makes alligator guitar straps, and Craig bought a wallet off of him, and he knows that guy.
Belt
He
and a
lives-
wallet. What is his
Belt.
name? Alligator
Yeah, I can't remember.
Jake.
Alligator Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes some cool straps, man.
That's
You gotta
Oh,
check him
nice.
out.
That wallet and belt I have. Yeah, they're very durable. They'll outlast me. Somebody will get them when I'm dead.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Alligator strap would be nuts. I would love
Yeah, man, I'll have to hook you up with him. He's a real nice guy, and he actually the
They're like
wallet
$250
and the-
bucks.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive, but the wallet and the belt that Craig got, he actually got that gator out of one of those Disney lakes. Like a huge
Yeah,
gator.
Disney World. It was like
So they're local gators. You
10
get
foot
some
gator, 10
Yeah.
or 11-foot gator.
really
yeah.
interesting.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
you might want to take a trip down to his shop and just hang out because he's a really fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, I would love to.
So, Dyer Davis, man, how do you have a website somebody can look at and see your schedule and a little bit more about your band and that
Yes,
kind of
sir.
stuff?
DyerDavisMusic.com. You got links to everything. My Bandcamp is up there if you want to get this record, Kiss the Ring, is out on vinyl. So if you want to get vinyls, CDs, any of the merch that we're selling at the shows, we're about to start including T-shirts here soon, which we originally weren't selling on there. So Bandcamp's up there, and all the links to all my social medias, my Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of thing. My schedule is always updated as stuff comes in. And yeah, man, DyerDavisMusic.com.
And you ought to have a pretty good visual brand with the beard and everything. It's kind of like a ZZ Top thing or something. I mean,
Yeah.
What was that? I saw something, a picture of you, and it looked like you had duct tape over your mouth or something. What was that?
That's the single cover for the song "Have Mercy."
Okay.
Yeah,
And then there's a song called something with angels. What's the name of that?
"Angels
song?
Get the Blues."
Angels Get the Blues. Yeah, that's a cool song.
Thank you,
And
man.
and that's a cool video. You did that in a church or something?
Yeah, I did that in a church. It's shot completely on iPhones, believe it or not.
You know what? I saw a wedding that was done with an iPhone, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
I've been working with the same guy on that. Him and I have been really tight friends for like 11 or 12 years, maybe even longer than that now. But when Rubber Soul Child started, him and I were working together on all of the music videos for that band, and that carried over into this. And the name of the company that he started to work under was Budget Cuts Media, because we didn't ever have any money, man. So we'd go to Walmart with like $40 and then find whatever shit I had in my shed, and we would like build a set and shoot a
Yeah.
video around it, and we'd shoot it all on iPhones. And
That's a pretty professional video though that you did. It's
yeah,
amazing.
man,
It is.
I will shoot the shoots probably typically about 4 to 5 hours. I think that we shot that for about 4.5 hours, and then him and I get together, and the editing process is probably another 10 to 12 hours afterwards. Because we doctor it up and put really nice filters and things on it, make it look good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of what we're able to crank out, frankly.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of time before this interview to check you out, just a couple days, but amazing. You got a lot of you guys, you Stone Roadie fans, go on YouTube and type in Dyer Davis, because he's got a lot of material on there, and you'll be happy with the music, guarantee you. He's a great guitar player, great singer. Like I said, man, do me a favor, man. Play a Bad Company tune for me. Some Paul Rogers. I gotta hear that. I
Sure,
gotta hear
man.
it. Yeah,
Sure,
do
man.
me a favor. I know that people will like it. So, all right, Dyer. Hey, it's great having you on, man. We if you want to ever come back on and you want to disseminate any of the stuff that you're getting ready to do, you need to plug some stuff. We'd like to have you back on, and you guys keep an ear peeled out for this guy here, man. He's amazing. And thanks for coming on, Dyer. We appreciate it. And
Of course, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been
and looking
awesome.
forward to seeing what you got going in the future.
Yeah, for sure, man.
One more thing before we wrap it up, Craig. We wanted to talk a little bit about, the Lynyrd Skynyrd band that's out there playing now. Of course, there's only one original member, and it's Ricky Medlock, and they stole our exit music. Happy Trails.
Yeah. Yeah,
Didn't they,
yeah.
Craig?
I noticed they were doing that's pretty unusual for a rock band to finish Freebird and then Happy Trails to
Yeah, and that's what we play at the end of our podcast.
That's what we
and we're
play.
like,
We've
where
been
did
doing
they
it for a
get
long
that
time.
from?
I'll just call it a coincidence until I hear him say, "See you later, alligator," at the wild crocodile.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. Maybe they just did that to aggravate Craig, I think. I don't know. They wouldn't let Craig there was a show in Ohio, just right like 15 minutes from his house. And here's a plane crash survivor who was original roadie for Lynyrd Skynyrd. And he went to the back gate and he goes, "Hey, man, I was Craig Reed, original roadie. And I just want to go back and say hi to the guys I used to work with." And they're like, "Yeah, let me get your autograph," and they got his autograph. "Okay, we'll go and see if we can get you a pass." And then they left and came back and they go, "They won't let you in, man." Can you imagine that? They wouldn't let him in the show.
I was just going to ask if you still kept in touch with any of them. I mean, I know that the lineup is completely different now.
I'm
but
supposed to go see them here. They're playing about an hour from here. I was going to attempt to. They told me that I know that. They said, "Craig, you know better. You can't just show up. You have to go through the proper channel." So, a couple weeks before the show, I'm going to say, "Hey, I want to come to the." I don't really care to see the band. I just want to show up early and hang around with the crew a little bit, to tell you the truth.
yeah,
But yeah, Chad, they're playing Jacksonville sometime in the near future, and Chad called the woman that used to be married to Ronnie and asked her if he could get in, and she said she wouldn't even mention it to anybody because it was a benefit.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Which I think that there was somebody else that was like even family and they wouldn't let them in. So, maybe it's got something to do with the benefit thing, who knows, but,
Yeah, well, it's probably sold out. Yeah, they're playing a fair up here, the Canfield Fair, and it says on the advertisement on the internet that it's sold out. There's no tickets available. It must be sold out. This one and another one. So
pretty soon
I
that's
could-
going
I
to be
could
you,
go sit at
Dyer.
the
You're
soundboard.
going to be all sold out running tours, man. So,
That'd be nice, man. I'll tell you.
yeah.
Be no sweat off my back.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And thanks for stopping by, Dyer Davis. You guys check him out. You will not be disappointed. Thanks, Dyer.
all right.
For sure. Thank
All
you.
right, we're gonna call that a wrap. We're out of here. See you later, alligator at the Wild Crocodile. And happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep token until then. And we're out of here later. Bye.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep token until then.